Tiffany, let me begin by saying, because this is such a personal loss for you, we're all sort of feeling it. I'm so sorry for your loss, and I understand you've been speaking with his immediate family as well. What are they telling you?
Yes, it's such a big loss for the world, and of course, a personal loss for so many people that knew and loved Larry closely, including his family and his treasure trove of friends. And we're all really. It's a very sad day. He was such a legend to so many, but he was also such a good friend. And I feel very lucky that I had the opportunity to speak with him not that long ago and reconnect. And I just feel very lucky to have had that time with him.
And you've had so much time with him over the span of so many years. So tell me about this relationship between your father and him, and your own family connection to him.
Well, thank you for asking that. My father, as you mentioned, was Bob Woolf. He was an entertainment attorney, and he was a sports and entertainment attorney and negotiated Larry's contract with CNN. And from that kicked off decades upon decades of friendship. Larry was always at our house and traveled with us, and we got to, as we used to say, get to be at the head table of life with Larry. He took us on some incredible adventures, meeting kings and queens and heads of state and celebrities, and always wanted his friends around to be a part of it. So I feel very lucky. At a very young age, I was 10 or 11 when we first met, knowing that this was special. I got to be a part of some very special experiences. And my father and Larry had an incredibly close relationship. And in fact, the last time I spoke to Larry was at my father's funeral. Larry spoke, and it became kind of a comedy hour at the funeral. And one of my dad's other biggest clients was Larry Bird. So he got up there and said, "I'm Larry King. I'm the Larry they put on hold when the other Larry calls." So he set the tone for kind of laughter and joy and just what my dad would have wanted, because that was Larry. He just brought joy and, the best jokes. So there's a lot to miss about this very special man.
You know, I do want to acknowledge that your dad was a legend in his own right. And in that opportunity of getting to know Larry King, you gave us a sense. What kind of guy was he? Because, for so many of us, there was a time before Larry King, he's just always been there. He's always been around. So what kind of guy was he like off air?
That's so true. Many people thought they knew him because he was in their living rooms every night. But behind the camera, he was the most curious. He had an insatiable curiosity. So whether you were sitting next to him on a plane or at Nate and Al's eating a pastrami sandwich, he wanted to know about the waiter. He wanted to know about everybody's story. He was insatiably curious, which is an incredible quality to have. And one of the things we talked about the last time I spoke with him in this interview, because I asked him kind of what keeps you going. And as we all know, he was working, up until the last few months, and he loved to talk to people. He was such a great listener, and he was like that off camera too. Which of course everybody wants to feel heard. So he felt he gave you that moment with him.
And you're now in this position where you're a storyteller yourself. You're doing exactly what Larry did. So he's passed on the mantle to you in a way. And I wonder, what did you learn from him? What are some of the great lessons that he taught you?
Oh, gosh. Well, to be a good listener, to find the humor in things, find the gratitude in things. He would say, "What a life I've had," and my dad would too. The two of them would just kind of kick each other going, "Can you believe this? Look at the life we have." So I kind of grew up with, a lot of celebrities and a lot of kind of a larger than life in many cases, but there was also a humility where my dad and Larry and, whoever it was, we would just, the best moments were being around the kitchen table with pizza and just telling jokes, and, those kinds of nights were the most special.
Well, because of the nature of the work that you're doing, you're speaking to people while we're in the midst of quarantine, lockdown in the United States, here in Canada, and You know, you often wonder with someone like Larry King, how would he have approached this time? What kinds of questions would he be asking? What would he be curious about, as you mentioned? What did you glean from him during one of those final interviews that he did that was with you?
I think he would be interested, as I am in doing this series, of how people are getting through this incredibly unprecedented time. You really have to call in your reserves right now. And I think he'd be interested in how people are dealing with it in their own way. And I think this time is really such an incredible time of reflection for people to kind of look back on their lives and take stock. And that was what I had with this moment with Larry, was this interview. We got to kind of take a moment and take stock in his entire life. And I think some of my favorite moments was him kind of saying, gosh, I can't believe how lucky I am.
You know, Tiffany, what's a quirky, odd, surprising thing about Larry King that we don't know?
Well, he does great impersonations, so maybe people do know that. He loved sports, obviously. Mm-hmm. He could just tell a great Jewish joke. I mean, Borscht Belt. Okay. You know, like, I mean, he could tell a joke like nobody's business. Deli food and good stories and good jokes, that's where, from my understanding and from my experience, Larry really shined. And around family. He was such a family man. He loved his kids. I was very close with Kaya, which was very hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We were all like in this one big family that just, we got to be around this person that, you know, again, had dinner with kings and queens, but he was just happier being at the kitchen table eating pizza and telling jokes.
I think we will leave it there. There's so much more I want to ask you, Tiffany, but I'm just so thankful to you during this difficult time for you and your family that you made time for us. So thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. And if I can just say, the thing I've learned about my series is time really is of the essence. And if you can capture your loved one's stories right now in any way, it really is a gift.
So well said. Tiffany Woolf, joining us from Pacifica, California. Thank you again.
Thank you.